Discover your inner goddess and live up to your highest value and most abundant potential. Welcome to Grateful Goddesses, a podcast that empowers you to unleash your inner goddess and take the leap of faith to live your best life. Your guide, Karen Pulver, joins her fellow goddesses in soulful conversations about gratitude, personal growth, authentic living, and a bevy of topics affecting women today. Let's start the show with your host, Karen Pulver.
Maureen Riley is renowned as a medically certified energy intuitive master healer and psychotherapist. Using highly accurate sense perception of the invisible and soul realms, she is uniquely qualified to both rapidly uncover and heal the root causes of our deepest challenges. Her mission to help others have what it takes to live aligned, awake, and in joy led to the founding of Purely Vital, where she offers success mentoring through higher purpose activation and spiritual energetic healing. Contact her through www.purelyvital.com. Welcome, Maureen Riley, to Grateful Goddesses today. Welcome, goddesses, to our show, Grateful Goddesses. All right, so last night I actually didn't have the best sleep, and I'll tell you why. I was really excited about today, but I also was nervous. And I'm nervous because we're going to talk about something that I'm excited about, but I'm feeling like I just want to tap into this so badly. I want to try so hard, but I think I'm just going to relax and breathe, and we're going to just go from where we are. I don't know if that all makes sense, but I think as we go on, you'll understand. So when I talk about today's show, we're going to bring up the word soul. What is the first word, goddesses, that you think of when I say the word soul? Alyssa?
I think it's two words for me. It's true essence. I cheated. I gave you two words.
No, you can say more than one word. Rachel?
The core of who you are.
Dina?
Passion.
And for me, maybe this is why I'm nervous, soulmate. Because I joke around that my husband often says, "You're my soulmate." And I am sort of like, I love him dearly, but soulmate, that's really deep. And today's going to be deep, but that's okay. We can be vulnerable. We can talk about how to tap into our soul and our energy. And I'm really excited because we have Maureen Riley, who is a spiritual and energetic healer. She actually attended a Grateful Goddess event over 10 years ago. And it was a beautiful evening at a yoga studio. And I remember she lit candles and we talked about all the magical things that we can do to tap into our soul. And we had a guided meditation, and it just was very calming and very centering and helped me feel balanced. So welcome, Maureen, to the show. You can join us. And we want to ask you questions about our soul, our soul's purpose, soulmate, all of those things. I'm curious to start, and I'm just going with my instinct right now. And I know you may not be able to answer this personally for me, but why did I have a bad sleep? Why was I so anxious and nervous, do you think, about today?
I think whenever we're stepping into a higher level of our purpose, which this beautiful offering, this podcast is, we get nervous because it's outside of our box. We have a comfort zone, and we identify ourselves more with that than we do with the higher frequencies of our emerging purpose or the next level of our emerging purpose. So there's kind of a gap between those two. Everything's energy, and what that really means is that energy is the qualifier. It's the mover. It's the force. Thought has no energy in it by itself. It only is energized by whatever the feelings are. So when we're nervous, we have a sense, oh, I don't know, am I going to do it right? Do I have what it takes? Do I have the power to do this, that I really desire? I'm following my heart's desire. Is it going to go well, right? And that's while it's completely normal, it's also one of the pieces that we're here to heal, which is about our spirit, our higher self, and whatever experiences we've kind of acquired through various lifetimes, as well as this one, that say, I'm not quite good enough, or I don't really have all that it takes to do this, or maybe I'm a fraud, or, any level of insecurity is the place where we've just not quite enough connected with our true self.
Right.
And it's a doorway. It's a doorway that allows us to open into that too at the same time. That's my take.
No, I do feel sometimes that I try too hard for myself. Like I meditate and I practice yoga and I try so hard to achieve that higher self because I've read about it, I know about it, and I want to get there. And it wasn't until recently when I meditated that I just said, okay, what will be will be. Let's just be in this moment. And I did feel a much greater connection. So I'm hoping you can talk with us more about that today. I know the girls mentioned the words or a word about what defines the word soul for them. And I wondered if you had a comment about what they each said.
I think those are all aspects of soul. It's true self, it's essence. And it's also, I distinguish soul and spirit because we have an emotional body, we have a mental body, physical body, we have a soul body, which really is the collective experience of our soul that has sojourned with us. We have many lives. There are many lives we've been through, and we've collected experiences in each of those. And we get an opportunity each time we come into a physical body to awaken more to the love that we already are and the wholeness that is what our true self and what I call our spirit, our pure spirit that's connected to source. It's connected to God. It's connected to the intelligence, the order, the harmony, the love of the whole universe, of which we are a holograph. And all of the power that is present in the universe, all of the creative capacities, we're actually using to even think or vision on our vision boards. That's source seeing through us. Our personalities are just really supposed to be a vehicle for the particular expression of letting source energy move freely through us. And that's easier said than done, because that's where the healing to the soul, to the body, to the emotions comes in.
And you work with individuals and you help on groups and you do private mentorships. And can you talk a little bit about the methods that you use, just to give a little taste test to the listeners and viewers?
Yeah, it's based in what we just talked about. I think the primary problem on the planet and with us all is that we're both human and divine. We're both human and completely whole. And, the kind of experience of Eden, which we're all part of, nature, this planet, we've been invested with everything we need, but we are operating from, I think the primary problem is that we're disconnected from God and spirit and source. We don't really believe that every molecule in our body is an expression of source. And yet, this beautiful field of light that I work with and the energy system, the chakra system that it's connected to, is a photographic record of everything that we've ever experienced. And when our higher sight is opened, which either happens because you come in with it open, or through spiritual deep practice, or through, I've had 2 near-death experiences, just pops open a lot of our memory of how to operate through our higher self, which is a completely different way of operating than Karen, what you talked about, which most of the world is involved in. Like, I have to achieve a connection to my higher self. I have to achieve, I have to get there. I have to do all kinds of things. And that's actually our programmed self trying to run our spirit rather than the other way around, but it bespeaks the disconnection. It's not our fault. I mean, it's part of why we're here, is to do the awakening. But to do that, we have to understand we have a link between our higher self and how that operates and our physical, material, programmed human self. And that's our aura, our spirit body. That's what I interface with to do healing work, because healing is the connection again between the spirit self, the spirit world of wholeness, your already whole self, and your material human self, where you are. That gap, right, is once we learn that we've been perfectly made with this bridge between, I'm going to say, heaven and earth, learning about how to operate with our higher self energy field is the key, really, to embodying, to reclaiming, to reconnecting. And that higher self is connected to God. We're not separate. But our guilt, I think our primary guilt, our feelings of inadequacy, the sense that we don't have enough power, all stem from we're not connected to the power that is within us and that we are part of and are. So there's a sense of struggling to get to something rather than letting go into something completely. And that takes some, I'm going to say, practice. That is, meditation's great, contemplation's great, because you're opening to receive, but you actually have to bridge into and use your God sight, your visioning, to begin to perceive or even image. Our imagination, our imaginal bodies are actually like different bands of a cocoon of light. So the angels are there, the higher ascended beings and masters who flow grace and healing energy to us like jumper cables when we call for it. So I'm always in a state of receiving that and flowing that to my clients. And I actually feel and see that realm. So that's possible for everyone, but because we are designed that way, but we're not all opened that way. So, and in fact, I picked a stone today. I said, okay, I want to just, I know I'm doing show and tell early, so maybe I'll come back to that. But it really is about opening the higher visioning to begin to apply it to seeing every atom in our body is a radiant field. There's a breath of life inside of it. There's 2 electrons pulsing. Our emotional bodies throw most of us completely off. We're up and down and up and down. That's the force behind, I'm going to say that's the divine mother part of source, the feeling. That puts the thought or all consciousness or light into motion. So part of the law of attraction that you had wanted to talk about a little bit. So the law of attraction is a law, one law. I mean, there are many sacred laws: the law of harmony, the law of reciprocity, the law of cause and effect. We aren't taught that these are part of the order of the universe. And when we're out of alignment with any of them, we can't expect to open the personal stream of abundance and manifest from our higher self. That is our birthright. Everything, the pure energy of the love that's for you, the unfolding through grace instead of effort. Not that there's no action, but not all the efforting to achieve what the deepest heart desires. That's all there. It's like an escrow. It's waiting for us. What we have to do is take away all of the programming and the suppressed emotions. We've 2,000 years of denying the realm of the soul, and the feminine is what the rise of the feminine now is about. And we have to understand it from that level, I think, in order to succeed. that we're to learn to enter the deep silence inside the heart. That's the original space out of which everything comes, including universes. And to abide there and call, because we are a part of it. So we claim it and we call for the healing streams of grace that are ever flowing through this universe. That's the Holy Spirit aspect. And we receive from our feeling body, even though we have to train ourselves to open our feeling bodies, to subtly sense, because the feeling is the thing. We have to experience something. We can't just visualize it. Law of attraction often is from the lower body of the emotions. You know, I want this, I want that, I want this, you know. But, you know, your spirit doesn't care what your emotional body wants. It cares what your deepest needs are. And those are connected to your spirit, which says you will have everything you need if you tune in here and start to live from here. Also, all that is in your way is going to come to the surface. So people are like, do I really have to go through pain and feeling suppressed emotions? And that does come up. You know, you have to be willing to say, I've lived inside something that's incomplete. Everybody's got trauma in their lives. From the energy standpoint, when I look at a field and I start to map through, okay, which of the, you know, there's 7 in-body energy centers, but there's other ones. Our multidimensional self is attached to the higher chakras, where we can travel out for information, we can see things. There's no future or past there. So when I look, for example, you asked me, you know, okay, what about, you know, lymphoma? Okay, so I would look and I would begin to see, you know, there's always in a cancer, and I'm not the only healer whose sight is open, who sees this. This is well mapped by the major healers who've been studied on the planet. They're systems of medicine, thousands of years old, that use the energy system. We don't. The reason for that being Western medicine tried to validate its theories as a science, I think in the 30s. And what was popular at that time was chemistry. So they used chemistry to try to prove, well, it's germ theory, it's this. You know, well, in chemistry, you know, you have to have something that activates the chemistry in order for that to happen. We're made of germs and viruses and bacteria. Okay? Energy is the thing that activates. And that's being left out completely. So from the energy perspective, it isn't about the germs, and it isn't about fearing, like this big fear, right, of death. It's claiming the eternality of the self, the power and the energy which is often suppressed under these deep fears of inadequacy or resentments that haven't been felt, forgiven, and brought to a higher order, a higher truth. But love is all there is as a creative substance, right? And how do we connect back in to utilize that? So in my healings, I would look for cancer, and we did this in hospitals with doctors and clairvoyance. That's where I got my medical energy healing certification. It was the first in the country. It was an experiment. We would look at lymphoma or a cancer, particularly lymphoma, as the lymph is what circulates through the body, toxins. Okay? So we would see, oh, you have a history of being very giving and absorbing other people's emotions without recognizing it, and taking on and trying to fill their needs without really feeling your own, and encapsulating some kind of there's a loss of connection to your true needs and self, and an overabundance of other people's energies circulating through your system, which you can't process. So they become toxins. Trying to spiritualize above your emotions keeps the emotions stuck. So I would see cords to a particular person in your life, to a relationship, with a mother, or, and see the whole kind of causal incident that begins to make the electrons and the energy of the body start to move away from your frequency of your true self, your spirit. And once we get out of relation to that frequency, that's when the disorder begins to occur within the body and maps itself physically. We can use any symptom. Symptoms are a conversation trying to happen from our pure higher self through the soul, which is also a feeling body, a higher feeling body, into the body. So I would begin that process, and I would look for the age that happened, if it was in this life, or I would look through your records to see if it wasn't. I would say for you, it was the heart chakra and the second chakra. So that's about betrayals. That's about what we learn about love. Is there give and take or not? Or do I pay for love? Do I have to serve you all the time? Do I ever get my needs met? A feeling of abandonment, which really is it's an opportunity for us to go, I feel abandoned because I'm abandoning my true self. I don't know how to say no to this. No, this is not for me. No, this frequency, this constant, that's not mine. I'm not bad because I don't want to participate or do what you want. This is bad for me.
Well, they often say, you often hear about stress causing symptoms. And also you touched on, and I want to circle back to the lymphoma a little later, but I do want to invite Rachel on, because we talked numerous times about past lives. Rachel is all in with that. Not everyone is. So there's people that are skeptics, but Rachel, you had some thoughts and questions for our guest today.
Hi, Maureen.
Hi.
I love the way you articulated everything that you do. And I feel to my core, I've been doing a lot of kind of spiritual studies, and I like your soul's plan. I studied that book, and just, so everything that you're saying completely resonates with me. And I have a couple questions, but I'll start with, like, you talk about like your higher self and opening up to your higher self. And like, I personally have been struggling. I've been trying to launch my own thing. It's something I want to do. Like, I've done a ton of reflection of like, this is the direction I want to go. And I feel that it is my purpose, yet something is holding me back. And I don't know what it is. It's like, I can plan, forever. And that actual launch, like, I always told Karen how proud I am of her for doing this podcast. Like, she had a vision and she has made it happen, and it is real. It is happening. And I want to get to that place, and there's something holding me back.
Yeah, there is. I mean, obviously, right? I mean,
right.
We do that. So the thing is to map that through, first of all, it's in your protective body or your thermal body. There's a block there, which means you don't feel safe. You've had experiences now. I mean, we would really track this through what didn't happen. What were the emotions at the time of the trauma that set up this for you? What beliefs did you generate at that time when you're very young? Okay, so you don't have anything on the menu, right? But you're a powerful creator and you have an intense emotion. So there's and a thought. There's the creation of the universe. Light, consciousness, thought, feeling, flow, emotion. Boom. This creates a reality in the body, right? That then generates its own kind of affirms itself over and over again, because we don't realize that we're going to draw to us what we believe in. Okay? So we've suppressed the emotion. It's trauma. It's inadequate grieving of it, and the need that was never met has still not been met, right? So that's part of the healing process. That's what we map for, and that's all very entirely possible. I mean, this is the nature of most people, right? And without the means spiritually to come in and see and release that, you can't get at it. It's in your super conscious is your soul level conscious. Your unconscious is between 1 and 7. You don't remember that. Your subconscious mind is a deeper layer. So it's very difficult. There are some forms of healing that will go into the subconscious, but no form goes into the superconscious or the soul level if it's not spiritually based healing. It doesn't. That's why you can spend forever in therapy or coaching, and you're not going to get there from there, right? Because it can't. It's like we live in the Western world and say, well, our logic and our science and and no, the mind is not king. The spirit, as it lands in the pure heart, and that's part of the meditative practices. Specific that I would like to lead us in, just a simple one, today, because it is who we are. We can call on it, but we have to be willing to disband our doubt and feel ourselves as more than who we think we are. You have to claim that, at least be willing, because you can't even receive spirit healing without that. If you don't believe in that, you're not going to, you just set your bar. So does that help explain?
Does.
So there's something in there that can shift, because that's a doorway for you that's knocking. Every symptom is a conversation that your soul and your higher self are trying to have with you, and you can use that. We have to learn to use these instead of being afraid of them or feeling inadequate or powerless, which we may feel, but it's not true, because in our higher self that does not exist. And speak out the modality that can help you with that.
And is that what you do? Like,
That is what I do.
That's like an example. Like, I would go to you, like, in this place in my life where I feel like I'm at like a holding pattern.
I'm bridged between that. I see where it is. I see the invisible realm. I hear. I'm connected to the angelic realm. I've had multiple cancers. I've never been through anything except spiritual connection, and the healing has been done on that level. Once you reunite yourself with true self frequency, and you're in the wholeness, and you are in it at such a powerful degree, nothing that is outside of wholeness exists, and it changes the physiology.
I think that leads into Alyssa, because we had discussed just in general about when you say sets, like where your baseline is of how you feel. Right. I don't want to speak for Alyssa, but I know that when we've had conversations, this is new territory for listeners, for some of us. So Alyssa, what would you like to ask?
Well, it seems to me like the way I've always thought about healing sort of goes back to how you think about self, right? Mind, body, spirit. And body's easy. We, at least in the Western world, we go to the doctor, we're not feeling well. I have been given medicine and I feel better. So I assume that, and I hear what you're saying about kind of, it all starts with sort of chemistry, and I assume that the medicine, it's working at sort of the chemical level, but so that's body. And mind, you can, as you mentioned before, you can have therapy, you can talk through it and treat your mind. You can also, in my experience, when you're stressed and you do yoga and you perhaps take a vacation, and you can separate and clear your head and sort of work on, your perspective and your thoughts. That's healing for me on the mind level. And on the spiritual level, I can't say that I've really done any work personally on healing spirit. Maybe I have on a subconscious level, but not consciously. But I believe, and I think a lot of people do, that when it comes to healing, it is this sort of trifecta, if you will, of working on your mind, your body, and your spirit.
Well, I would say this.
That's not something you agree with, though.
I don't disagree that you can take a medicine and clear your symptoms and that it might help you. I don't disagree that yoga can de-stress and open open up the meridian and energy system for you at all. No, I think those, and I don't disagree that you can go to therapy and get a mental level understanding of some things. I do not agree that you have solved the underlying issue, and therefore all your talk therapy won't necessarily transform you. You could improve a little bit, but it doesn't mean you've dissolved the pattern, and it's going to reinstate. And I see it over and over again. I was trained as a psychotherapist. It just didn't heal people enough. I was out for transformation. What's the true nature of healing? We are not just chemically based. You can take a pill. People are on pills like crazy. They're not solving the issues that are underlying it unless it's a specific thing, which, you know, is a heroic medicine. That's great. Or a surgery, great. But that's not the massive illnesses. They're chronically based. And medicine has nothing for those. And if you don't get to the level of what's really happening at the emotional and spirit and soul level, that's not going to go away, and it'll keep cropping up. People keep getting, now they have people on, medicine forever for cancers. You've got to clear the base of it. Medicine is not going to give you that. They don't understand that perspective. And yet the whole universe operates in the energy perspective. So you can't go to science and say, we're the king. No, you don't even have the ability to create a theory without acknowledging the order of something that you're now seeking a partial understanding of. So I say top down. You go to the spirit level, boom, 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 everything heals down to the body. You start at the body, this does not get encountered.
So you as a follow-up, you know when you're not feeling well, right? I mean, you know that something's wrong, something's up, whether it's, physically you just don't feel well, you wake up in the morning, you just don't feel well, or something's really like weighing on you sort of more from a mental or emotional state. But assuming that's not the case, right? We're feeling good physically, we're feeling good sort of on a mental, emotional level. Do we still need to work on healing, our spirit?
If everything's going fine for you and you're manifesting all your heart's desires and you feel like you're empowered and you're living your purpose and you're really satisfied in your relationships and they're mutually supportive, I don't think so. I think you're pretty near enlightened. And, we can be good and we can be fine, and we can have no further interest. We can say, I'm good. And each of us, that's fine. That's your free will. We all make the choice. If you don't have anything pressing on you.
Yeah.
And
I'm not saying that I'm this sort of enlightened being. I'm just wondering,
there's an area in everybody that is out of alignment with their higher self-expression. Unless you're in full enlightenment, that's just true. It may not bother you enough until a certain point in your life. It may take a trigger of trauma for that to surface.
Although
you pursue it.
I know Dina wants to ask a question, but Dina, before you do, I have to interject here. I was going to ask this later, but when I received my cancer diagnosis of B-cell non-Hodgkin's lymphoma almost 10 years ago, I was at an amazing place spiritually, physically, mentally of my life. I had never felt better physically. I was so clear on what I wanted in my life. I actually started this Grateful Goddess group, but, gatherings in the city. My kids were getting older. I was feeling great love for my family. And boom, it hit me. It was an unexplained thing out of the blue. It was like driving and I hit a wall.
I know.
So I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying, but I do feel like, I guess there was something I just hadn't dealt with. Or what resonated with me was when you said that I was giving. I was giving, definitely, to women, and I was giving to my family. What I'm thinking now is perhaps even with the goddess vision that I had back then, that's different than now, is I was so worried about making sure each event was going to help all these women, but I wasn't maybe taking it in myself. And this time I'm taking notes, I'm researching. I did that before then, but I'm really maybe being a little more selfish.
Well, it's self-full is what it is.
Self-full. I'm taking in and learning, and I'm maybe that was it. I'm trying to figure out, because I really was at a very good place, and it baffles me.
Well, because let's use an analogy. When you look in the mirror, do you see your true self and spirit?
I don't know. Do you guys?
Does anybody look in the mirror and see their spirit? Their true self? No, you see your image. Your image, which is just your physicality. When you turn on a light bulb, do you see the electrical current? No. And yet it's there. Until we develop the capacity to see and feel our own spirit bodies, we don't have any idea what's in there. So it's very common in 28 years of my doing this work. The minute you start throwing out, hey, I want to go to the higher level of my purpose. I did that and I got whacked with cancer too, right? It's like, great, you have to clear this. This is all underground and you're not seeing it. And in order for you to really do that with this high frequency and sustain it, you got to take care of this.
I see. I get it. Because when I stopped the goddess gatherings, I remember feeling like I need to take care of me, and I need to rest, and I need to nourish, and I need to just be with me. And it took years, but a lot of years, a lot of soulful contemplation, meditation, but also just being in the moment. I do totally understand that, right, until it felt right again. And it felt right again now.
See, so remember what I was saying to you in the beginning about the root cause of your lymphoma?
Yes.
And the over-giving and the over-focusing on other people's needs. You just now said it. Now,
I hear you.
I need to hear you say that. I have a capacity that can be developed by anyone because it's the order of the universe. We're made this way. So I could look at that and find that for you. And that's not even exhaustive, but boom, right? So you can develop the capacity, and it's necessary to sense, see, or feel your own spirit body and gain information for yourself about what level of intervention you need, what beliefs are not serving you, what emotions have you stuffed and keep replaying over and over again. It's the problem in the world that our emotional body is given no education. We are given no tools for self-mastery. Our emotions are like a little tramp dog running all over the place, just creating more chaos. And just, what's happening to those electrons and the breath of life inside those cells? Yeah, they call it stress, but that's not even really explaining what's happening, right? And if you powerfully, when we meditate powerfully on those atoms of light and call spirit's assistance to us, we have to also ask for spirit to clear our unbelief and our doubt in this, because the skepticism is the biggest block to it. And the results are fairly obvious, and I move fast in this because energy moves fast. It's not bound by time. So if you connect with that, you're in your superhuman self. You're not in your human patterns by your culture, by your gender, by your family of origin, just by the genetics that you inherited. There's light inside of the core of every cell, every chakra that is pure and unprogrammed, and it holds the frequency of your true self. And beginning to tap into that is where the magic starts. And that's where the healing begins.
Dina, what would you like to add or ask?
So I sort of have two questions for you. You speak a lot about God, And what and or do you say to those that don't believe there is a God necessarily, and can they get healing and so on? And my other question was sort of piggybacking on all of this, and I wonder if you're predominantly serving women, because we as women just naturally absorb everything around us and everyone's feelings and take all of our kids' pain, and that's just what we do naturally. And I wonder if you see in your work more women being affected than men, or is it not necessarily the case?
First of all, more women come because they're more sensitive to their bodies. They haven't compartmentalized it to the same degree. Men feel just as much, but it's not part of how they're trained. They can compartmentalize it a little bit easier than most women. Secondly, we're all connected through our field, which, by the way, Nobel Prizes have been won, saying it's the molecules of emotion covering a tar over the light in our cells that are causing disease. Nobel Prize was won for that. This is science. That is not permeated into medicine and how we treat it. We're way behind. So God, to me, is, you have to defrag that word. Religion has not served a lot of people in terms of who and what is infinite God. And most religions unconsciously approach God from a sense of separation, expiation, mea culpa, I'm bad, I have to atone. That is not God, not to me. And I don't care if you use the word source or Buddha mind or the creative intelligence that has created all of life. It doesn't matter, because words are just words. But they carry, the word God carries a lot of stuff that doesn't work for a lot of people. You don't need God, you need spirit and your connection to the oneness of that organizing, creative, creator intelligence of all that is, which is also in you, not separate from you. So I hope that explains it. I use the word God because it means good to me. It's the godness in me. We don't need to be good or try to be good. That's where most of us have been mapped, especially women. Seek approval, be good, do it right, We need to let the goodness flow through us that's innate to who we are as our true self. The goodness, godness, I call it, just one letter shy, that's it. Let the goodness flow through us. And how do we know? Well, because we feel it. Unless our feeling centers have been blocked over, which many of ours have, with a wall, and we live from our intellect. I see a lot of spiritual people doing spiritual bypassing. I don't feel that because that's the wrong thing to feel. This is what I should be feeling. I'm going to do a mantra or this or that. It's not going to last. Mantras are fine if you can feel the resonance of them and let come up the real, which you will. So are you resentful? Are you anxious? Are you sad? Are you depressed? Are you bitter? Nobody's just unhappy all the time without being in denial. That's just not real. And we can't just think our way out of this. The mind can't take care of the spirit. It can't take care of the emotions. You can use your higher mind, your consciousness, which is your portion of source, all the consciousness. Our self-awareness is our portion of that, to direct it towards the practice of looking at the content as far as you can of your emotions, the symptoms, what's the mind loop that keeps running here? Where's the tension in the body? Can I connect those loops and hold them together? Ooh, that pit in my gut, there's a tension in there all the time. I'm not breathing there. What if I breathed with that for a half an hour? Well, some knot is going to start loosening. It's going to bring up some emotion that's buried in there with it. And if you're really paying subtle attention, you'll even see a flash of a memory or hear a thought. And then there are times when that's not true because it's so deep in your soul. That part of you is in a shock bubble somewhere else in time, maybe more than one part, that underwent enough times of not being seen, enough times of not being given to you the way that you need it to be. Enough times told in many ways. Neglect, it doesn't have to be abuse directly. That's one. Neglect of these aspects of our being is another. So we stop seeing and feeling ourselves. That, when you can develop these processes, which I teach, because really using the higher self energy and awareness and chakra system to heal the pain body and turn it into passion is what this whole work is about. And it's, the successes are all over the place. No one can say this isn't true. It's the higher order. Medicine has to seek for a higher order of understanding, not expect spirit to prove itself to medicine, although the proofs are copious. And, systems of medicine are operating right now and have been for eons. So I hope that answers it. Does that answer it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Does anyone have any other questions or comments for Maureen today? Rachel?
I love how you are like constantly like trying to kind of validate like how it is a form of medicine. And like in a perfect world, would you see yourself like working with Western medicine and like kind of like this interdisciplinary team?
We tried that. That was what Rosalind Briere is the most studied healer probably on the planet. Valerie Hunt built the copper runes for her at UCLA. Valerie Hunt was the first researcher because she used NASA instrumentation. They used to send the astronauts in space, and they had to find a way to vibrationally find out how they were doing. That was all done through energy. So she had a friend from there build her that same model, and she photographed the aura for the first time. And also the sounds, hired Rosalind Briere, who was my teacher, and noted clairvoyants who could see everything, to come and say, okay, we need to find a completely healthy first chakra, completely healthy second chakra. And she then mapped the sounds, because the instrumentation was so refined, which we don't have, in the general public, but it exists, that she could photograph and hear the sounds, right? So that level of sound and light, that is the creation language from which everything else comes. You go to that level, you start healing there, again, it's top down. It trickles down, stuff opens up. So I don't know where I was going with that. I kind of lost my
Well, I was asking about kind of the unison of healing and Western medicine.
Oh, yeah. It's very hard there are two different models. There's been all these efforts, integrative medicine. Well, I think there's a lot of young, fabulous doctors who are all about trying to do that, and naturopathy and things like that. And they are using the energy system. And they are using, essential oils. There's healing centers and hospitals are now being set up through doTERRA, because of the therapeutic value. Again, so we're in a dark ages and it's coming into a light, but we can't meld two systems, germ theory and medicine and energy theory. You can't, they're not both true. So that's very hard to do. And we worked the clinic at the largest alternative research clinic is in Ohio, Cincinnati, Ohio. Rosalind Briere, and the head of that clinic, who was also a doctor, but a full clairvoyant and a student of hers. And they set up the first program for certifying master level healers. And that meant clairvoyantly assessed before you could come in the program, 200 hours of energy healing. And then she had to watch you run energy into a diseased tissue and change the tissue at the cellular level before you could be in the program. Okay, and the National Institute of Health has also got research that proves this. I mean, these are the best kept secrets in Western medicine. They're there. So because the model doesn't want to give way, right? Like anything that's established and instituted. And there also isn't as much money in it. Let's just face it. I mean, the energy is free, right? You learn how to, I mean, you have to pay your healer. You have to survive. But, and that doesn't mean that medicine will disappear. Herbs are the basis of all chemical medicine. I mean, those were homeopathy. I mean, the oils, the plant kingdom, the kingdoms of nature provide as well because they're part of the energy field. I don't think the two can meld together. I think that it has to be recognized that energy is, you know.
Maureen, is there anything you'd like to add that we didn't cover?
I think that was pretty
done
good.
Yeah, oh, it was great. I just want to make sure because this
great
is
questions. Thank you all for
no, we you know, if we could go on forever, I would love to know about past life regression even more, because we were talking before you came on and I was joking around that I was telling them about that I was told that I was like a queen in a castle and my husband now was the gardener, the landscaper, and we were meant to be together, and that's why we're together now. It's just so, I just laugh. We joke around because I'm like, oh, go cut the grass.
Well, I hope he does. So, you know, we have a record in our 8th chakra, which is right above the head. And that is the kasha, the finest substance. Before we physicalize, we're all energy. This physical body is the densest form of energy. And you can now photograph the more refined layers of light that we are cocooned in, and that we connect with all others through the oneness. Which is why fear is such a degrader. Because think about that spreading, and then think about everybody holding, I am this divine empowered presence, and I am feeling that, and I am living into the feeling of that. It's a whole different frequency. Disease can't, you know, frequencies are frequencies. You go, my tumor disappeared not because I'm special, but because I went to a frequency higher than the tumor spiritually, and it dissolved it. It couldn't exist when I maintained that frequency, not because I called in, right? My connection to all that is and the oneness. I totally believed it. I felt it. I saw it. It wasn't, you use your imaginal body as a spirit body to get there. No matter what you're working on, you could take any issue in your life and do this. You have to call in. So this is the little, you know, guided meditation that we're going into.
Right, let's get started. Thank you.
First of all, you just have to put online your willingness to let go of your own skepticism and enter into this. And from the standpoint of, I'm willing to believe that I am far more than who I see myself as or think myself to be. Right? So we're just going to enter from that standpoint. I'm going to open sacred space here, and this is how we do it. And this is the meditation I would ask you to do for anything. We find this quiet space together, and we bring our awareness, and I like to put a hand on the womb or belly and a hand on the heart. 2 feeling centers and relationship centers. The heart also brings the seat of the soul in. One of the easiest healing techniques involves just activating the inner wheel, as I've spoken of, the pure light inside a particular chakra in order to wash the outside or the programmed self with the energy that it does not have currently and raise its frequency. Energy carries information in it. When you raise a frequency, what comes to consciousness is often what's been buried and needs to be released or forgiven, or what is needed, like quality, like trust, or self-acceptance. So, first of all, we affirm our personal true self and whole spirit, our personal spirit, which is our personal part of the Creator, our unique flame of the whole of the light and the love, which also I want you to just feel in your body now, and you can take a moment down in your second chakra, which is about feelings and needs and your right to have them met. Also, your right to feel yourself as wonderful and enjoy your experience. And just as you're holding that chakra and letting the warmth of your hands and the energy of your heart run into it, run through your hands into your second chakra there. Give permission for spirit, great spirit, source, God, whatever name you want to use, to manage this entire process now. And as you move forward, just feel a place from your second chakra, a place of need or want or unfulfilledness or emptiness. And just send love and hold that emotion or feeling, or maybe a symptom. Maybe it's, I feel blocked here, or I'm having stomach pains, or you can use a physical symptom as the start, as the portal. Just pick one. Maybe I feel numb. That's a feeling. Okay with that. Ask Spirit to conduct us by now affirming what we're going to do called Spirit to Healing Streams of Grace. That's a technique. Focus on a particular challenge that you're having and feel where the energy of it seems to be in your body. We're looking for the primary chakra that's involved. Can also be a feeling of being outside your body. So if you can just feel where the energy is. And if you don't know the chakras, first chakra is tailbone and below. Second chakra is below your navel, womb. Third chakra is under your rib cage, your solar plexus. Fourth chakra is your heart area. Fifth chakra is your throat. Sixth chakra is between your eyebrows, your third eye area. Seventh is on your crown. Just breathe with an open awareness, like, I'm just in my curiosity and my embrace of all that is, my embrace of my humanity as well as my divine self, guiding this for me, entering a place that is calling to me for this symptom. Let yourself request Spirit now to help you perceive the outer wheel of that chakra, which is, maybe the size of a baseball or a little larger. The outer wheel, as if that outer wheel is a computer screen. Visualize yourself sitting in front of this screen. You intuitively, because your intuition is your spirit's language, whether you see it, sense it as energy, hear information or words, or just know it, yours is. To fully understand what's going on, request Spirit help you perceive this outer chakra wheel as a computer screen. Just visualize yourself sitting in front of the screen while you intuit. And let whatever comes to you, no matter, particularly if it makes no sense. Don't just take the first thing. See, sense, hear, or know. We acknowledge now you affirmed our personal spirit. We've acknowledged that all help is being provided by Great Spirit or Source or God. And this now in turn has called upon all of the angelic and divine beings who are here present, or helping spirits, constructive helping spirits that are in the imaginal realms, that are here to help us at all times, who are fully embodied in their enlightenment, and provide energies that can be stepped down into our physical bodies and cells. We acknowledge and call upon all these appropriate beings for you that are source connected. Now, whatever you may have received, and even if you didn't receive anything, as you're practicing opening your intuitive faculties, you're now just going to light the inner wheel, which has never been affected by any trauma, anything that has happened in the world. It's perfectly whole and remains whole eternally because it is your eternal divine spirit, authentic essence self. It cannot be damaged, or there would be no creator. Just like that, perceive the spirit lighting the inside of whatever chakra you're focusing on. Open your intuitive faculties to the best of your subtle sensing ability to sense, feel, hear, and see truth from your spirit self as you perceive spirit lighting up like a beautiful sun, shimmering light, white light, shimmering on the inside of that chakra. Healing streams of the eternal grace are flowing through and emanating at all times from this inner well. And it's now washing over and around the patterned outer rim of the chakra or center that you have identified that holds the core of the issue. But you do not need to know yet. You can just allow spirit to take care of this. And you use your consciousness to brighten and connect with your personal spirit energy to flow spirit through this and around the wheel, bathing the entire bodily area that might be connected to this as well. And letting that light that's bathing the body part begin to flow out to beyond your skin, cocoon of light that's photographable and around you. You can just say, Spirit, send this light energy into that layer of my field, which is connected to this chakra, and surround any traumatized selves that may be located there and trapped, bringing healing streams of grace to them. Just surrender into the light and the flow. This is your true self giving permission for Great Spirit to manage this entire process now and as you move forward. And just breathe deeply, affirming in my true self, all is, has always been, and will ever be well, and is now being made better through the power of grace in this area of myself which has been disconnected from it. Just take a few deep breaths and give your thanks willing to forgive or let go what is not yours that is here, as well as be responsible for allowing further healing to take place here, to free more of your true self, your passion, your power, your grace, and your love through your personality into life, which is an act of power, empowerment, and true leadership. Fully giving what you are here and only you. We honor that. And when you're ready, just take a few deep breaths down into your sit bones. Push your feet into the floor. You're seated. Imagine that you're just fully supported because you are. And then open your eyes.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome. So what that is a technique called spirit, your personal higher self spirit. You're calling into connection with it. You can feel it when you're doing that. Subtle at first, gets better as you practice. Secondly, spirit to great spirit, affirming that you are one with great spirit, and you are turning this over to spirit who does know how to do this. Okay? And then you are focusing on the issue, calling in spirit, healing streams of grace, the flow of Holy Spirit, whatever you want to call it, healing streams of grace into this area that you've identified. And then you're using your imaging faculty, which is God's faculty to vision through you. We just don't give credit where credit is due. It's not ours. It's part of us. To light the center of that chakra and fill and flood it and intensify that light. Intensify your feeling of the light. And let it surround, right? And then move through the body part and move through the energy field, which again, you can just say, Spirit, do it. You don't have to, we're not in control. We think we are. Our control is to say, I surrender to the great wisdom and power of all that is to work for and with me, which it's always trying to do, but we can't receive it unless we ask and open ourselves and acknowledge it. It's not that it's not there. So that's the meditation, and that's the practice.
Beautiful. This was the first time in all the times that I've meditated or done guided meditation where I actually smelled strawberries.
Oh, so great.
Is it?
That's one of your guides, the guides on the higher planes. I smell roses all the time, and that's the Divine Mother. So strawberries, that's another one of your guides coming in. And you know what? It is so interesting because it's all a holograph. We're going to go back to lymphoma, not paying attention to needs of the self, nurturing the sweetness of yourself, strawberries.
It was so vibrant. Like I thought maybe there was a strawberry pie here in this room.
I love it.
Did
That's
you
so
guys
great.
feel anything like unusual or different?
Don't worry if you didn't.
Colors.
Colors?
Mm-hmm.
What colors?
Green and yellow. Yellow, white. Yeah.
Did you all have an area that you're working with?
I had my lower back
Mm-hmm.
and sort of.
Which is the backside of your feelings and needs chakra. Yeah. Okay. And did you all have an area? Alyssa, did you have an area?
Like for me, like neck and shoulders and up here, this area, it's where I carry a lot of stress.
Yeah. So anyway, continue to use that. And I mean, if
Yes.
anybody wants to say anything else about what they experienced, fine. I don't know if we have time. But
It's up to you. Rachel, did you have a spot?
So I have a really bad headache today, and but when you started talking about the imagery of the light and our light center, and I'm around a lot of sickness right now, and I literally envisioned myself infusing my light into those around me, and it was And what was so interesting is I could sense who was able to receive my light and who was kind of blocking my light. And I kept like penetrating, but I kept envisioning all of my different family members and who was receiving what. But it was super powerful.
Good. I'm glad. Now, I want you to just also stay with your center that you're flowing around, not just giving it away to others. Yours. That's super important for you. Super important.
Is it okay if you had two chakras that you, like I had, my throat was tight and my groin was tight. So it felt like a circular.
They're connected. 1 and 5.
Oh, they are?
2 and 6. Yeah.
Because I felt like this circle of, and then it, as you said, I smelled the strawberries and I kind of let that sweetness come in and it just kind of relaxed and opened up. So I loved that.
That's your spirit language. You know, each of us has a different one.
Yeah.
And
I love that.
Our intuition is our spirit self talking to us. It's not our mind.
Beautiful. It's beautiful.
Great. Wonderful.
Oh, thank you. If our listeners and viewers want to contact you, I know you stayed on your website about, and I love this, about clicking your heels for, what is it exactly? It's here. Click on your ruby slippers to have a 20-minute complimentary with me. And I resonated with that because I drive everyone crazy about this, but I resonate with Dorothy and finding her way home. And you had the ruby slippers. Click on your ruby slippers and have a 20-minute with me. So tell our viewers and listeners about that, how they can contact you.
You can contact me through my website, which is Purely Vital. And this is Purely Vital Spirit Information and Healing. So purelyvital.com. PURELYVITAL.com. You can sign up to get that if you're serious about entering into doing some work. That is what this is for. It's a consult for people who are ready. They can invest in themselves and they want to and are ready. I always have to check whether it's in divine order for me to work with someone. Because there are people who want to work, but they aren't willing to give up their payoffs, and they really aren't willing. And I have to check for that.
Absolutely.
So that you can sign up there if that's your intention, and then it'll take you to a calendar, and I have some free slots.
Great. And you can also check gratefulgoddesses.com for more information about Maureen and to see her bio as well as working with her. And thank you so much for helping us to learn how to transform pain into passion and purpose. And we are so grateful for this guided meditation. Thank you so much.
It was my pleasure and honor. It was great to be with all of you.
Up next, favorite things. Opening up to happiness and joy.
Welcome everyone to Favorite Things with our guest, Goddess Maureen Riley. We're going to start with our adult show and tell with Rachel. What brings you happiness and joy?
Well, you mentioned essential oils, Maureen, and it's like I call it my primary medicine cabinet. And I also mentioned that I have a headache right now, and I have this oil. It's called Past Tense. And whenever I have a headache, I rub it on my forehead and I rub it in and I put it behind my neck. And it's got peppermint and it's a whole blend of different essential oils that helps it starts tingling and it just starts easing the pressure that I feel in my head. And I always have it on me. Ask my kids, ask my husband. I use it all the time and I give it as gifts all the time.
That's great. I hope your headache goes away, and I'm sure it will. Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you.
Dina, how about you? Tell us about your favorite things.
Mine's a little superficial today. I am all about this puff sleeve trend happening anywhere I can get it. It makes me really happy. And so, I don't know if you guys can see, I got this jean jacket. It's super cute. And I got to wear it yesterday at the soccer game because it was finally cold. I got it in July, this coat. I got it as a gift. And it made me so happy last night that I was able to put it on and wear it, and I felt so good in it, and it just made me happy.
I love that. I love, clothes, fashion, it can make us feel good in what we're wearing. You never want to wear something uncomfortable or that you don't feel joy wearing, of course.
I mean, it poured rain. I was completely soaked from head to toe, but
okay, but you had your puff, right? It kind of reminds me of the shoulder pads we used to wear back in the day. Yeah.
In the 70s.
Alyssa?
I love that, Gina. You're going to have to tell me where you got it. So this is something you wear too, but in a very different way. So when I traveled to Israel with my family, we met someone who gave us all these Kabbalah strings. And for anyone listening that doesn't know, Kabbalah is a school of thought in Jewish mysticism. It's kind of about, and it's also sort of part of so many different cultures, like Middle Eastern cultures, and the evil eye, and sort of warding off bad energy, and sort of in keeping with our conversation today and energy. What I was given was just sort of a simple like string, although it came from this Kabbalah center, and the strings were supposedly produced, sort of all taken to Rachel's tomb in Israel. And then there was a special meditation that was with these strings and imbued this sense of protection. But for me, I was not part of that. I just received this. But at that time, we were all wearing these kind of red strings, and you're supposed to knot them 7 times, and there's certain prayers that you say. Fast forward to today, I always try to, I think about that, and because the string sometimes breaks and it gets wet and it's not as sort of a practical thing, I kind of keep this with me where I can see it in my bedroom. But also, I also have this red bracelet that kind of is my own way, my own sort of different kind of Kabbalah bracelet that's a little sturdier and herdier. But I love this idea of just looking at it and thinking about just sort of sending good energy into the world. I mean, for me, I sort of break it down to its most basic, essence, which is, send good energy out and good things will come to you. And as for the superstitious sort of nature of kind of warding things off, and this sort of evil eye, I'm not really sure what I believe, but I do remember when my children were born, my mom brought a red ribbon, tied it on each of my kids' strollers and their cribs. She called it a red bendel, and which may be a Yiddish term, I'm not sure, but it is sort of serving the same purpose, sort of tapping into like keeping bad spirits and bad energy away from her grandchildren. So I love that story, and I love my bracelet, and I do think, and I do keep this very close to me in my bedroom and think about it all the time.
I had the same, it was pinned on the bottom of their crib, a little red string. And yeah, it's like to ward off. Or with my family, often my parents, my mom always says, poo, poo, poo.
I was in Turkey, and you see the evil eyes everywhere on like jewelry and just little, stones or house things, but like it's everywhere, and I understand all throughout the Middle East.
That's an interesting conversation. I'd love to hear after we share, Maureen, what your thoughts are on that, because I like wearing evil eye just because I like the symbol is just like a pretty eye, but yeah, about warding off evil energy. My favorite thing that I found, and it's so funny because sometimes I lose things, and then I ask Spirit, where is it? Help me find it. I don't know which spirit is helping me, but I kind of sit down and I'm like, okay, I really want to find this. Where is it? Lead me to it. And I just kind of look, and then under like the weirdest spot. I know my kids think I'm crazy, Maureen, you're nodding, but it helps. It helps me. So before, I'm in Canada now and I'm quarantining with my family here, but before coming, I really wanted to find this bracelet, and it's a Lokai bracelet, which is supposedly has water from Mount Everest and mud from the Dead Sea. And I just love it because it's waterproof and I can just put it on and I feel really balanced when I wear it. But it's got 2-fold show and tell, because one was my talk about how I find things, even if it's anything. Where's my wallet? Help me find it. Oh my gosh, it's in the fridge. How did it get into the fridge? I don't know. I've had that. I've probably put it down on the shelf and I've walked away and it's in the fridge or the bathroom, different places. So that's one. And then this bracelet, I just love. I just feel really grounded, and maybe it's psychological, that it's like I feel like, oh, it's grounding me, but I just really do. Or it actually has properties of energy, even though it's so small, that's helping. So okay, moving on to Maureen. Lots to talk about, but let's share what your favorite thing is.
Well, I love that you're using spirit to guide your consciousness to find things, because that's what's happening. And I do that all the time too, all the time. I don't even bother. It's not lost. I just go, just show me, and I let my body become a sensitive instrument, and I just move. I just follow wherever I'm going. I have no idea, why am I looking over there? Oh, there they are, right? I love it. That's your spirit to spirit. The stones I also have, and stones have tremendous healing properties. They are in the earth. They're kind of the bones, and they have a very close relationship to us and to healing. And I love using stones in healing work. So I have a malachite scarab, which is an ancient Egyptian, back to the Far East here.
It's beautiful.
Which was a symbol of resurrection. So it's the resurrection of what we call the human self into the superhuman and divine self, which many of those ancient cultures had deep technologies for. And a lot of the healing hands and the healing schools emanate from ancient Egypt, including the lineage I was trained in. So this really is malachite. It can aid vision in the third eye and the development of it. You can use these whenever you're working on a particular area of your life. There's always a stone that is a powerful, there's a deva or an angel to every stone. And it will focus particular energy. This is for, it's a crystal stone of courage and determination that infuses the wearer with a desire to seek the spirit way, to be informed, especially where fear or guilt are concerned, so that the path clears and you can move forward. It's also a remedy for relieving stress and tension, a powerful one. And it can, when it shows up, I have this wonderful deck, the Liquid Crystal Oracle, and I just love it because it's all the stones, but there's a language of light from the stone in each one. There's a beautiful prayer. This one says, "Raise your arms to the stars, golden angel of the sun, and let me aid you on your journey. Breathe me in and let my flame ignite the power in you. Accept my green vibration, one of earthly love, and let me bless you with the courage and strength to face your fears and limitations and enter into my understanding, and you will see your role in the creation and be free to fly forth without the weight of the physical world and its programs holding you back. Be at play in the universe." So
thank you for sharing your favorite things today on Grateful Goddesses, and thank you so much for joining us, Maureen.
thank you. Nice to meet you all.
So that's it. Thank you so much.
Unleashed your inner goddess yet? Thanks for joining us today on Grateful Goddesses. We invite you to visit our website, www.gratefulgoddesses.com, to access today's show notes as well as other helpful resources. Don't forget to leave a review. Until next time, stay strong and empowered to be a grateful goddess.